going to be taking out 16 of them. This is part 2. I did the introduction on the other session, but we're going to do our reading here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, I'm going to take that little one out. And normally the De Legumes with the cowrie shell it asks you to come and sit on the floor. But we're not going to be sitting on the floor for the benefit of making sure that you get a chance to see this. All right. Now, I had indicated and made a statement that white male supremacists will not cause the African or the indigenous people to be on the verge of extinction, but the African will rule again. So even though the Caucasian in their status of white supremacy and the way they conduct themselves, it will not affect the Africans that are slowly coming up the ladder to rule again. It is inevitable that we will rule again, so we will not be coming into any extinction. And I will be speaking to these De Legume cowrie shells to ask them the question, will the indigenous first world people rule again? And will the white supremacists now that there are some troubles in the African American community, and there are some struggles that we're going through, but struggles only come with promotion. And we must understand that when we're pushing against the prick, we're pushing the Godhead forward. People are growing up now in their Godhead, and because of these challenges, it is pushing the Godhead forward. And the white male supremacists will become extinct. It is inevitable that when they mark the 400 and some odd years with us being out of slavery, then at that particular point, we will see a change in command. And I predict this is Omi's prediction, but I'm going to do the reading to see if the De Legume feels the same way. As I see the writing on the wall, I know that African Americans need to get in position to rule again. We're not ready to become extinct. There's never been a time when we weren't on this planet. We've always been on this planet. And that's why some of the people that are hurling out the abbreviation DOS and calling us descendants of slaves, they must take note. There are many people of color on this planet that are not descendants of slaves, that were always here in North America on Turtle Island, and they don't know a time when we weren't here. You might want to call us first world indigenous people instead of descendants of slaves, because a large portion of us will take offense, as certainly the Geechee Gullah people will take offense, because they came over from Sierra Leone, and they weren't coming over to be slaves, but they were coming to the United States on Turtle Island. And they've never been into a slave fortitude, but they brought their traditions and their ways with them. So I want to say to those radio stations who are hurling out the DOS, be very careful that you don't offend someone who has been privy to always being here in North America and who know their history, and their family members were never slaves, and that they cannot take the title of DOS because they are considered one of the first world indigenous people before some of the Indians, meaning that we were the bush people and not necessarily slaves. So we have to get this thing right, because you're going to have everybody in line waiting for reparation who's had mothers and fathers who've been in indentured servitude, who want to get their lot and cast their lot because they feel they're entitled to reparation because of the fact that their parents have been into indentured slavery. Now let me get on with this. Breathe over these shells and ask the question. harm in preventing the African Americans from ruling, and is the failure for African American to rule a direct problem from the white male's supremacists? Now I will count the ones up with their mouths open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I will look at the reading to see what it says on the Odu, and that was 8 up. Oh, just bear with me here. And as I told you, these shells have been consecrated already. And maybe you might want to purchase you some shells and have them consecrated, and go and read up on Santerias de Lagoon. We said there was 8 up, so we're looking for 8 up. The Odu would be Islander. Let's see, number 8 is born. Okay, is born of the Melagoon. Let's see here. Let me find that one. Okay, here we go. The Islander, the eye shells up. Okay, let me see if I can find what it says here. Okay, it says, once there was a very proud king who would not allow anyone to visit him, on that his servants come into the contact with anyone outside of the king had spent a great deal of money trying to find a cure for his daughter, but all to no avail. Having heard of Orunmila, a great power, he sent a messenger to the diviner, asking him to come to the palace to cure his princess. Orunmila answered that he was too busy and was not in the habit of making house calls. The king was to come to Orunmila if he needed help. When the king received Orunmila's message, he was furious and angrily refused to go see the diviner. But after a while, his daughter's condition worsened, and in the despair, let me see if I got my glasses here. Let me put my glasses on here. And Orunmila asked that he was too busy and was not in the habit of making house calls. The king was to come to Orunmila if he needed help. When the king received Orunmila's message, he was furious and angrily refused to go see the diviner. But after a while, his daughter's condition worsened, and in despair, the king was forced to go to see Orunmila. When the king arrived at the Orisha's home, he did not realize that the doors was too low. When he tried to enter, off his head, and the crown went rolling down the road, and the people who were tired of the king's ignorance hid the crown where he could not find it. The king was forced to knock on every door in his search for the crown. When he finally found it, he realized that pride had cost him the love of his subjects. Ashamed of his past action, he apologized. Let me see if there was anything else that they said about him. Now, it sounds like